just a minute to get things going here. You guys can listen to the cats losing their shit in the background. Let's see here. We want that wad. That mod. And go. Alright. That get turned down? Did get turned down a little bit, that's right. Okay. So this stupid thing, I keep falling into the same trap. And it's terrible. That was probably unnecessary. Yeah, what does that do? Remember I figured it out last run through. If you can call it that. Eh, god damn it. Alright. So I really want a way to progress in the level without having to get that Berserker pack because I don't need it. I really don't need it now. And that's right, I already hit that button. Definitely didn't need it before. But there's no way to do it. Because not until you grab this does that drop and this open. I guess I should make an effort not to lose too much armor. And god damn it. Keep having a hard time figuring this level out. Oh, that's right. Little door next to here. Die. So, I was thinking the other day. So, I had my 40th birthday party not too long ago. And my buddy's moving away to Tennessee. And he said something that got me thinking about billboards. He's like, because where he said something about where he lived, he doesn't see all these billboards everywhere. And I'm like, you know, advertising has kind of become a bunch of crap. Like, so many companies see it as straight up free money that they stick ads everywhere and anywhere they conceivably can. And it's, for fuck's sakes, it's reached a point where they are literally everywhere. You cannot get away from them. I pumped gas the other day, and there was an ad playing on the stupid LCD screen on the pump. And I'm just like, why? Do you really think people are watching that and going, oh, I'm definitely going to buy that since I saw that at the gas station while I was just expecting to only pump gas? Like, who, and I am legitimately curious at this point, who has seen a gas station ad and been like, oh yeah, definitely doing that now? Or versus who has seen a gas station ad and been like, oh my god, I just want to pump fucking gas. I don't want to deal with all this crap. And before anybody says anything, yeah, sometimes it is all this, even if it's just one thing. Like, speaking for myself anyway, you've had a long day. I work in a largely customer service based job. I do IT, and it doesn't matter what level of IT you're at, you are doing customer service. You cannot escape it. You can be a network developer and you are still doing customer service. I am sorry. I wish there was a way to avoid it, and I wish IT was filled with reasonable people, especially bosses. But it is not. So you will be doing customer service. You will be saying a lot, I am sorry, I will work on that. I am sorry, let me fix that. Yeah, no, we can absolutely add that with only 3 days to launch. And placating a bunch of people who don't know how fucking email works. So, you've had a long day. My job is mostly customer service. I explain things to people who hate computers and don't want to admit that they can't work without one. Like, not just can't do their job, but cannot realistically expect to get work done. And that is very evident when you get into IT security, when it's not run by IT security professionals. Like, it is stupidly obvious that these people don't understand how computers work, don't understand the restrictions that they're imparting on the computers, what it's going to do to operations, and don't know how email works. That last part, you know how I know? Email someone. Say, hey, I need you to answer this question for me. Don't tell them why. And you will never hear a thing again until you say, hey, I can't finish working on this project until I get an answer to this question. Alright, I did that because I thought there was another night vision goggles thing. But there is not. I know there is one, I just can't fucking remember where. Oh, that's handy. That's such a weird noise. I don't know who in sound design came up with it, but it's actually kind of fucking genius. The weird gurgly sound. And the reason why I say it's genius is because there's a little bit of directional audio in this game. It's not crazy. It is obviously not surround sound levels. But there's a little bit of directional audio in this game. So you can hear hey, there's something to my right or there's something to my left. You don't really get in front or behind so much. Some of these, some of the Doom engines try to emulate it a little bit. It's hit and miss. So it's kind of good as far as tension is concerned, because you're sitting there going, okay, I know someone's still alive, I can hear them, I can't hear where the hell they're at. My aim is sucking. So ads. Like, I really wish I could find an executive somewhere that is pushing all these worthless ads and be like, have you ever, after a long day, dealing with people you don't want to deal with some days, dealing with people who don't really have much more to contribute to the conversation other than it's IT's job to fix this, for those of you in IT or any kind of customer service, I'm sure you know exactly what I mean. Dealing with that, how many have said, oh yes, this ad on this gas pump when I'm trying to just pump gas so I can go home is super helpful and I'm glad it's there? Or how many of you have said, oh dear God, I have to fucking listen to this, I'm never buying a thing from them? Because I'm legit curious if someone's seen a gas pump ad and been like, oh yeah, I'm totally going to do that. Or if, how many of you are like me and been, he's over there somewhere. And, okay, cool, I think they're all dead. And just said, just out of spite, I'm never buying a thing from this company. This is the most useless, annoying thing I've had to deal with today. And that is saying a lot. Supposedly something to the right here. Nope, too far. Alright, yeah, I only got part of the way into this room. Okay. Because the lighting sucks. And I can't tell where I'm going. Oh, cool. So yeah, that's kind of my rant about ads. They're everywhere. They're putting them in games now, to the point where there is some minor upheaval, in a good way, about Valve's decision to restrict advertising in games published on their site. And it is a genius move, because it's going to stop the downward spiral of companies wanting free money, so they put an ad in a game. I don't mind product placement. I really don't. I don't really give a shit if there's a Coke bottle sitting in the middle of my game. If anything, it makes the game just a little bit more relatable because it's a thing that I understand. It could be some new future, I mean, like the Nuka-Cola bottles in Fallout. Like, that is reminiscent enough of a thing that exists in my real world that it's kind of a fun tie-in to real life. So, I don't care about that. I really don't. It's not a big deal to me. Alright, I have blue key, have red key, need yellow key, which I believe is through here. Yeah, Cultus Carney. Low key pissed off Microsoft send me ads through Windows notifications. Yeah, exactly. What is the point of that? What? They cannot be making that much money that they are hemorrhaging users now. Like, nobody wanted to upgrade from Windows 10 to 11. It was so low on the market share, it was laughable. In Linux, alright, this is where I get fucked in this general area. Linux is caught up in market share. Not drastically. I mean, we're not talking like Microsoft has 80% of the users and Linux has 10. We're definitely not seeing that. But what we are seeing is Linux go from 1.3 to 1.5% to like 4 to 4.5. I think they're around 5 now. I'm not 100% sure. But that's largely because of the release of the Steam Deck, which was driven by Linux. Why? Because Linux is open source and for some purposes, asterisk, free. But due to its open source, the development cost is low. It is not expensive to develop for things on Linux. Oh, that almost got me into trouble. People who play Doom for fun never learn their lessons. If you shouldn't kill it with a rocket, why can you kill it with a rocket? Yeah. You can update to 11. The fun thing is they've repealed some of the hardware restrictions because it was costing them users. When they announced that you needed a TPM2 chip in order to run Windows 11, scalpers bought up pretty much all the supply of TPM2 chips globally, driving up the price to ridiculous proportions like they did with the GPUs not too long ago, and stopping people from buying them. So Microsoft had a vested interest into kind of rolling that back because it was costing them users. People could not upgrade because they didn't have and couldn't get a TPM chip. So they repealed that. And then there are some other hardware upgrades or hardware requirements that people are like, oh, this is, yes, hello cat. You'll get fed in like 5 minutes. Maybe sooner. Alright. In case I do it again. Oh no. Okay, where did I avoid the crusher ceiling this time? Oh, it's probably a secret. Good. Fuck that thing. Yeah, they shot themselves in the foot. But the thing is unlike their other previous releases, like when people were going from Longhorn to 7, they were generally hyped about it. They were like, oh my god, this thing's got so many problems, it runs like dog shit. I can't wait to go to something newer. And they hit the mark with Windows 7. Very well, as a matter of fact. Windows 8, as we all know, was kind of like the Windows ME of the 2010s. Not to say it was bad. They also did not get very much market share until Windows 10 came out and had been out for 3 years. because it took them that long to get Windows 10. Because here's a fun fact about Microsoft. Windows 10 came out kind of in a pre-release form in 2015, and in 2018 they fired their entire bug testing team with no intent to replace them. So guess what? Windows 10 had a lot of bugs. Guess where they were going? Nowhere. They were sticking around. And the Windows Insider program, that's basically you beta testing for free. Because they couldn't come up with another way to get more bug testing data. This is my trick for these guys to kind of stun lock them with a shotgun, is to keep backing up. So every build from there on out, unless they rehired the bug testing team, was going to be crappy. It was really going to suck because they didn't have a way. And don't get me wrong, bug testing is only going to get you so far when you are awash in a sea of custom builds. You can't bug test for all the various hardware combinations. It's not going to work. It's not going to happen. Yay, more shells. But some bug testing is infinitely better, and I mean that quite literally, than no bug testing. Because you will catch a lot of bugs that will affect pre-built systems. I'm talking like your average pre-built Dell or HP laptop or desktop. Because the thing is the hardware combinations are predictable against most of them. They have the same network cards, they have the same Wi-Fi cards with very few circumstantial differences. Sound cards, the Wi-Fi cards might be a generation or two newer. Everything's going to be the same except for the amount of RAM, the type of, or not the brand, but the specifications of the CPU, you know, basically just speed, cache, that kind of thing. Everything else is going to be the same. Dell Latitude, their enterprise line, is a perfect example of that. Within a given year, every enterprise line or every Latitude laptop is going to have the same brand of CPU, the same brand of RAM out of the gate, the same brand and type of storage, and the same GPU. Only difference on the GPU might be like their Precision laptop line that has Quadro GPUs, or the one I got out of eWaste had an RTX 3000 with 6 gigs of RAM in it. I mean, that's awesome, especially for eWaste. But they're going to be largely the same. They're cookie cutter builds. That's how they make their money. Economies of scale. Nothing wrong with it. But some of those hardware combinations are going to be in very, very custom built desktop machines. Someone's going to combine an i7 CPU and a what do you call it? And a 3000 series NVIDIA GPU. And the 3000 series mobile is not that much different, other than max power draw and that kind of thing. There's really not a lot of difference. They are they're power limited to keep their thermals under control for a mobile environment in which heat's got nowhere to go. There's not a lot of thermal inertia in your average laptop. There's nowhere for the heat to travel to. So, other than that, very few differences. Oh, fuck you. So, you are going to catch a lot of bugs that affect custom systems just because that hardware is ubiquitous. It's everywhere. Someone's going to build a custom system and not have a lot of extra money to do it, so they're going to grab off-the-shelf combos that work. Nothing wrong with that. Oh, shit. Yeah, I was meaning to display my game. Holy crap, I've been playing this whole time. Let me fix this here. Automatic save. Okay. Jesus. Nope. That's on me. It's been a long day, some of which I do not want to get into. So, yeah. Your bug testing team is going to catch a lot of bugs, some of which are just going to be completely accidental. You're not even going to know that you catch them, and that's the point. Like, you know what the damage is not having a bug testing team. You will never be able to tell how much damage you prevented by having a bug testing team. And that is where you run into issues with management, because they don't understand the difference, don't want to pay the money to do something, or can't afford to not do something. They have no clue. They just see things as an expense, and that's where the thinking stops. Alright, I'm not sure what that's all about, but okay. Yeah, whatever. I'll get to you eventually. What do we got going on here? This seems markedly similar to something else. So Microsoft screwed themselves over. They deprived themselves of, you know, the early consumer rush and momentum. You know, the people that are buying the next thing because it's the next thing and no other reason. And then they also deprived themselves of some of the nerd community that's like, oh, it's going to have this feature and that feature, and it's going to support new graphical things like HDR so much better, and it's going to have better storage support and better NVMe support and resizable bar and all this crap. That is the crowd that you're depriving yourself of, because they will go through the system requirements and be like, alright, there's no reason for this, I'm not doing it until they fix this. And us nerds are stubborn, man. We mean that quite literally. Like, hey, you got about 50 million of us. We're not buying your OS, and we're going to tell everybody else not to buy it until this is removed. And we have big mouths and can reach a lot of people. I don't know what this does for me. Nothing. Just looks creepy. Okay. Okay, it did something. And not for me. Why? Why can't I just leave things alone? Story of my life right there. So I think I found what the other invincibility sphere is for. Yeah. So, because they deprived themselves of that momentum, this is what I think went on behind the scenes when Valve Software saw how badly Windows 11 was floundering. They looked at that and they're like, you know, this is an underutilized operating system. It's kind of thumbing the nose at Microsoft, and we can make this do what we want because a lot of the work has already been done by independent developers, nerds, because it's open source. People who have the know-how, I am not one of them, except for very, very minor things, will look at code and be like, oh, I really wish this would work. Oh, cool. You just tweak this and move this around, and that's what it takes to make it work. And I went through that, actually, with MechWarrior Online. MechWarrior Online would not run in emulation in Steam in Linux. It just wouldn't do it. It could do it. I knew it had the capacity to, because there was nothing really complicated. And I'd seen other people do it. So I just started some searching. And someone's like, hey, I have here, because I love MechWarrior Online, this custom build of Proton. If you use this, and tell it to use fuck you. Tell it to use exactly this version of Proton when you copy it into this folder, your game will run. You're going to have some minor issues, like it might stutter, or every now and then the game might drop, but that happens in Windows, so who cares? And I did it, and it worked. And in fact, it ran better than it did in Windows, by a noticeable margin. Not just because I was nerding out over stats, but I'm like, damn, this is actually running really smooth. Had a little bit more of a CPU hit because, I mean, it's got to do a software translation in real time. But that's fine. I have a 16-core CPU. I ain't scared. So they did that. And that's how I'd like to think the conversation went. It's like, Microsoft fucked themselves over. We've got an opening. And they tweaked it to fit the Steam Deck. And again, this is another case of economies of scale. They had predictable hardware. They're going to have more or less the exact same thing in every single box, barring the firmware. I don't like this. So, I know what map this is. The whole point of the map is supposed to be, what in the hell can rip a Baron of Hell in half? Hell Knight? Yeah, Baron of Hell. What in the hell can rip one of those up like that? That's the whole point of the game, because so far, they've been the toughest thing you've had to fight. Until now. So we need to get all of these. And we're going to see the giant thing around the corner. So when they did that, the Linux market share jumped up by a measurable margin. Not so much as like a full percentage point or anything quite that drastic, which doesn't sound drastic, but it is. Oh, there he is. A full percentage point is fucking huge. But it did jump up by a measurable amount. I think it was like 0.5 to 0.75%. Which again, is when you're talking about millions upon millions of devices at a time, that's a lot. I do not like these things without the BFG. And you know that they were planning to add it later because there's the weapon slot for it here. Yes, you can run into your own rockets. He's just hard to hit because he actually moves kind of fast. So you can get close to him and risk being hit with a rocket, or you can just miss a shit ton of rockets. I picked the second one. I do not like getting hit in the face with a rocket because I do it to myself all the time. That's how I know. It is not a fun experience. Music's top notch though. Nice. Should have gotten 100 first, but whatever. Give me that last box, and we're out of here. Also, as far as enemies go in this game, they are smart. They have relatively good pathfinding. So Linux started eating up some of the market share, and the people at Microsoft are dumb, but they're not that dumb. They know when they understand causality to a degree. I'm not going to say they're great at it. Oh yeah, I probably should switch buttons back. So they peeled back a couple things. They toned down the ads a little bit, and they also peeled back the requirements. TPM2, some of the hardware requirements. It still requires an SSD, and you know, I actually think that's valid, because honestly, by about 2021, Windows 10 needed an SSD for all the shit it was doing. There was no other way it was ever going to happen efficiently. It's just not going to happen. And it's not bad. I'm on Windows 11 right now, but I also went through and ran the Windows 11 debloat tool. It removes a lot of ads. I went through group policy and turned off Copilot because, dear God, I never wanted that to begin with. And that's where they're starting to tank again. If people figuring out how to hack Windows 10 or ways to work around the fact that it doesn't have Windows Defender support anymore. The market share is regressing a little bit. Nice, he actually looked like he blew up. Hey, intestines. You know, Linux Mint, so his last comment was the Cult of Carney, that is. Linux Mint is good. Like, it is plug and play good. I bought a framework laptop. I put Linux Mint on it. I installed Steam with emulation for all games, Windows or Linux-based titles. It works perfectly. The fingerprint scanner and the power button works. The RGB and the keyboard works. The 4x3 monitor with like 166 megahertz refresh range, or 180, whatever it is, it's up there. Refresh rate works. All of it works. Everything worked out of the box. The only thing I had to mess around with was credentials for my network shares. That was it. It was plug and play. And I upgraded the SSD at the same one at some point, and I had my old one kicking around. I bought my girlfriend the smaller version of the framework laptop, the 13-inch. I put my old SSD in it, and it fucking booted and ran perfectly. First try. Completely different hardware. Different CPU, integrated GPU instead of a discrete GPU, different Wi-Fi card, and the port customization, I mean, that's totally different. All of it was different, and it ran the first boot, and it all worked. And that is the kind of shit we haven't seen since like Windows 2000. Final chapter of Doom. That's what you think. Alright. So this one was added much later. So Linux Mint is a great option, and Linux Mint is Ubuntu based, which means Ubuntu is pretty much the same. Now, there are some limitations. There's obviously going to be some Windows software that you can't run on Linux, like WordPerfect is a good one. I believe Photoshop is another. There are some tools that make an attempt at being an equivalent. The GIMP is one. It's basically Linux Photoshop, but it uses a different mechanism. It has the potential to be as powerful, but it isn't. But a lot of mainstream software manufacturers are seeing the way the winds are blowing, and they are engineering things with Linux in mind. Hopping on the AI bandwagon, Topaz AI Video Upscaler has a Linux client. They didn't at first, and at first they said they had no intention of making one. And they looked at the market share and they're like, shit, this is gaining some steam, and these people run top-end systems. We want some of that. And they started marketing a Linux version. Now it's one full milestone behind their Windows version, but it fucking works. It uses GPU-based upscaling, and it works. KDen Live, KDEN Live, however you say it. It's video editing software, timeline editing, not like video editing CGI and shit like that. Like, what's the Windows equivalent? Is it Premiere? DaVinci? I don't know what they use. But whatever they use to stitch all the clips together, add music and subtitles and all that jazz. That is my sole source of video making. Any video I make is edited together with that. I edit the audio through Audacity, which is also cross-platform, free sound editor and recorder. I do the script separately through that because my microphone is quiet. Like, it's cranked up plus 7 decibels right now, and it's still kind of quiet. And then I import that and all my media clips, pictures, whatever, into KDen Live, and it all just drag and drops. The GPU rendering for it is a little iffy. It can work, but I have a 16-core CPU, so 1 hour video for me in the format I usually do it in is it takes like 5 minutes to render. I don't do fancy stuff like the Black Pants Legion or MechFrog. Alright. IDMUS. No. Okay. I was seeing if the music cheat worked. There's actually a cheat. Oh, that's cool. Oh man, that brings me back. Alright, and this is the only way I can get the game to actually reliably work with that OBS is to just record the whole desktop. And yep, I'm not used to doing that. So that's why it was on slideshow for a while. Yeah, that's kind of my rant on ads. AI got a little unhinged yesterday because I started really losing my focus on that one. The long and short of it is, if it's not a place people are used to seeing ads or want to see ads, like they're used to it on their TV. To some degree, they're used to it on their phone. They're used to it on YouTube. Therefore, they're used to it on their phone. But gas pumps, elevators, if it invades every space, not only is it going to cost you your customer base, but eventually it's going to start costing you hardware. Because people are going to get tired of seeing that shit, and they're just going to destroy it. People already do that with paper, and they don't feel bad about it because it's fucking paper. They feel bad about it for the digital displays because they know that that costs money. But we are reaching a threshold here where people will not care. And it is going to cost you more money to install and maintain intact hardware than you'll ever see in potential revenue. We're at that point. I mean, it's the one in the elevator that gets me. Like, holy crap, I just walked through a hallway full of TVs playing ads. Because usually you're at a hotel when you're in an elevator, and the ads are fucking everywhere. You go to the bar. Of course, they're playing cable. Cable used to be ad-free. Not anymore. Sound familiar? Alright, I'm going to get on a whole separate rant, and I actually do need to go to bed. And my cat's bugging me to go outside, so I need to let them out. So hey, I had one person join me for this journey. Thank you for sticking around. I appreciate you chiming in. I like other people's input. And to everybody that watches this after the fact, and you, random citizen, farewell and be well.